Welcome back to Color of Life. Tonight, I want you to imagine standing in a quiet hospital corridor. The air is heavy, machines beep softly, and then, without warning, the hospital lights begin to flicker. Some say it's just faulty wiring, but others whisper that it is more: a signal, a reminder, a prophecy unfolding in the final hours of life. What if these flickers are not random at all, but glimpses into a realm that science cannot fully explain? For generations, people of faith have spoken of light as a messenger, a dividing line between life and eternity. Could it be that even the walls of our hospitals echo the Judgment Day prophecy, hinting that every soul is seen and every ending carries a message? In this video, we will explore why hospital lights flicker during final hours, the testimonies of those who witnessed it, and the deeper meaning that may connect directly to Scripture itself. Stay with me until the end, and you may never see hospital lights the same way again. As the hospital lights flicker in those final hours, questions rise that no machine can silence. Is this only the hum of electricity, or is it the whisper of eternity brushing against our world? The Judgment Day prophecy reminds us that even ordinary signs may carry extraordinary warnings, preparing us for what comes next. Part 1. The Mystery of Flickering Lights. Signal or coincidence? Imagine yourself inside a hospital during the stillness of night. The halls are hushed. The beeping of machines marks each fragile second, and suddenly, the hospital lights flicker. It seems ordinary, almost trivial. Yet, when it happens at the bedside of someone living their final hours, the air feels different. Families lean in, nurses pause, and questions surface. Is this just failing electricity, or a sign that something unseen has entered the room? Many witnesses recall how the flicker aligns with moments of transition. A patient exhales their last breath, and the light above trembles. Another closes their eyes for the final time, and a glow in the corner seems to vanish. These reports span hospitals across nations, across decades. Could millions of people be imagining the same connection? Or is there truly a deeper message hidden in the flicker? Throughout Scripture, light has always stood as a symbol of divine presence. Darkness has represented separation, fear, and judgment. The Judgment Day prophecy reminds us that in the last hours of life, signs may not be random at all. They are warnings and whispers from eternity. When the hospital lights flicker, it is not merely a bulb at fault. It may be a holy reminder that every soul is being prepared for the moment when heaven and earth meet. So the question remains: do we dare dismiss these flickers as coincidence? Or should we pay attention, as though the very walls of our hospitals are testifying about the mystery of the final hours? Part 2. Near-death experiences and the vision of light. What do people truly see when they stand on the threshold between life and eternity? Could the flickering of hospital lights mirror the radiant visions that countless near-death survivors describe? For decades, testimonies have poured in from patients who were declared clinically dead, only to return with vivid stories. They speak of tunnels of light, golden beams breaking through darkness, and a peace so overwhelming that words fail to contain it. Others describe radiant beings waiting at the end of that light, angels, loved ones, or the unmistakable presence of God Himself. Strikingly, many share that just before slipping away, They noticed the hospital lights dimming or trembling, as though the physical world was echoing their spiritual journey. Skeptics argue that these are hallucinations triggered by the brain under stress. Yet the consistency across cultures, religions, and ages makes it difficult to dismiss. When a child in one country and an elder in another recount nearly identical experiences, the question grows louder: is there a universal truth being revealed? The Judgment Day prophecy suggests that in the final hours, light will either guide the faithful toward peace or expose the path of judgment. If near-death experiences consistently point to encounters with overwhelming light, then perhaps the flicker of hospital lights is not random. It is a reminder, a symbol aligning with these sacred testimonies. So when the lights tremble above a hospital bed, are we witnessing faulty wiring? Or are we glimpsing the same radiant promise described by those who brushed against eternity and returned to tell their story? Part 3. Science speaks, but mystery remains. Hospitals are filled with machines, wires, and constant electrical demands. It is no secret that flickering lights can result from sudden shifts in voltage, overloaded circuits, or aging bulbs. In critical care units, where life support devices consume immense power, even the smallest fluctuation may cause lights to dim or tremble. From a scientific perspective, the explanation seems clear. Technology, under stress, produces visible instability. Yet this is where the mystery deepens. Why do so many reports of flickering occur specifically in the final hours of life? If it were purely random, the pattern would scatter across ordinary nights and empty rooms. Instead, nurses and doctors note the uncanny timing. Lights falter when a patient draws their last breath, when silence fills the room, when families whisper their goodbyes. Science offers mechanics, but it cannot fully answer why now, why then. Some researchers point to the human mind in crisis, suggesting that our perception sharpens during moments of grief, making us notice details we usually overlook. But that does not erase the testimonies of those who swear the lights behave differently, almost deliberately, as though echoing the unseen. The Judgment Day prophecy pushes us to look beyond the wires and bulbs. It asks, could the physical trembling of hospital lights be a shadow of spiritual trembling, a signal from realms we cannot measure? Technology may explain the how, but faith dares to explore the why. So even as scientists repair circuits and replace bulbs, countless witnesses leave hospitals convinced they saw more than failing electricity. They saw the edge of eternity breaking through. You've stayed with me through these powerful moments, and I want to pause and thank you. Have you ever witnessed hospital lights flicker or heard stories from loved ones during the final hours? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Your voice adds depth to this conversation. And if this journey so far speaks to you, consider liking and subscribing so we can keep uncovering truths that matter together. Part 4. Prophecy of light and darkness in the final hours. Prophecies have always spoken in symbols. Light and darkness are not just physical forces, they are eternal languages. The Judgment Day prophecy declares that in the last days, light will guide the faithful toward hope, while darkness will expose the unprepared to judgment. This is not abstract poetry. It is a warning written across the fabric of creation. Think about it. When the hospital lights flicker during those final hours, they seem to mirror this prophetic divide. One moment, brightness fills the room. The next, shadows creep in. Families sense both fear and comfort. as though heaven itself is reminding us that choices made in life echo loudly at the threshold of death. Ancient scripture often described this tension. The prophet Isaiah spoke of people walking in darkness who have seen a great light. The Gospel of John proclaimed, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." These words do not belong only to ancient pages. They pulse with meaning in the present. When a bulb trembles above a hospital bed, believers recall that light has always been God's signpost. Skeptics may laugh, yet prophecy does not fade with time. It waits, unfolding in ordinary places. A quiet room, a flicker overhead, a final breath. The trembling of hospital lights may well be an earthly echo of heaven's eternal message. Every soul will face the moment where light and darkness part ways. So, when you next hear of lights flickering in those sacred rooms, remember this: prophecy is not far away. It is unfolding right before our eyes. Part 5. Voices from the bedside. Witnesses who cannot forget. In hospitals across the world, the most unforgettable stories often come not from textbooks, but from the people who stand closest to the bedside. Nurses who work the night shift speak of moments when the room falls silent, the heart monitor slows, and the hospital lights begin to flicker just as a patient passes. Some tell it with tears, others with awe, but all agree it leaves a mark that no science lecture could erase. One nurse in Chicago described holding the hand of an elderly woman during her final hours. As the woman whispered her last prayer, the lights above dimmed and returned. It was as if the room itself bowed in reverence, she said. In another story, a doctor in Texas recounted a patient who opened his eyes one last time and said, "Do you see the light?" before the bulbs overhead trembled and went dark for a second. The doctor admitted, "I had no words. It was beyond explanation." Families, too, remember these flickers with clarity. A son standing beside his father's bed spoke of how the trembling lights felt like a silent announcement. His father was leaving, and heaven was near. The Judgment Day prophecy suggests that signs will not only appear in the heavens, but also in ordinary places where life and death intersect. For those who witness it, the flickering light is no longer just an electrical glitch. It is a sacred reminder that the final hours are never silent and never without meaning. Part 6. What the flicker means for you today. Now I want you to imagine yourself there, not as an observer, but as part of the moment. You're standing in a hospital room, maybe beside someone you love. The machines hum. The air is heavy, and then the hospital lights begin to flicker. What would go through your heart? Would you brush it aside, or would you pause and wonder if eternity had just brushed against your shoulder? This is not just their story. It could be yours. The Judgment Day. Prophecy reminds us that signs are not limited to ancient times or distant visions. They appear in the ordinary. Hallways we walk, bedsides we stand beside, hours we spend praying for strength. The flicker in those final hours is more than a backdrop. It is a mirror, asking you where you stand. Every one of us will face moments when the world around us shakes, when light seems uncertain. Will we be ready, anchored in faith, or will we be caught off guard, dismissing signs until it is too late? So when you hear these stories or witness a flicker yourself, don't detach. Place yourself in that room. Hear the silence. See the trembling light. and let it awaken you. These moments are not accidents. They are invitations, reminders that life is fleeting and preparation is everything. And this is why, before we close, we must ask, how do these flickers shape the way we live now? The final flicker, the last invitation. As we close this journey, think back on what we've uncovered together. We explored the mystery of flickering hospital lights, the testimonies of patients and families, the insights of science, and the warnings of prophecy. Each part was not just information. It was an invitation to see more deeply, to reflect on what lies beyond the final hours. But now, I want to turn this over to you. Which moment in this message stayed with you most? Was it the nurse's story of lights dimming during a final prayer? The vision of radiant light described by near-death survivors? Or the thought that even a trembling bulb could be a sign from eternity? Sometimes, the smallest detail speaks the loudest, and what moves you may be exactly what someone else needs to hear. The Judgment Day prophecy is not just about predicting the end. It is about preparing our hearts to read the signs around us. And your voice matters in that preparation. One comment from you could reveal something I have not seen, or highlight a truth others have been waiting to notice. So I ask you, which words, which images, which ideas from this video will stay with you tonight? Write them below. Let's make the comment section more than a list. It can be a gathering place where we piece together the meaning of these flickers, one testimony at a time. And if this journey has opened your eyes, share it with someone you love, because the lights may tremble, but together, our voices can shine with unshakable hope.